Okay, so I am making a video and we are going to go back over my pros and cons. So we are going to do pros and cons from cities I've lived in. I never really quite completed the series on my other channel, and I really wanted to. But when I was beginning that series and making that series, that was during like the fallout of all the Raider shit. So that really got in the way, and that took up my real life. In that sense, ended up taking over other parts of my real life. It just became way more important, and I had to focus on that, and that's just how it is. So just to keep that in mind, and I kind of wanted to go over it again and redo it, and finish my pros and cons. I'm going to redo the whole thing. And not to mention, I'm older, wiser, I have a much more, not that I didn't have a well-developed opinion of anything at the time, but it is even that much more informed now. So, yeah, I just, I want to redo the whole series. So, I kind of decided I'm going to start my channel off here. Not necessarily on a bad note, but a far more negative one. A pessimistic one, rather. And kind of do the opposite of what I did last time, because what I did last time was a much more positive, optimistic note. Not that I was expecting, to be like super famous and all the rest of it. Was not what I was really gunning for. It was just, I was trying to, make a shitty family situation and a shitty life situation at the time more optimistic. So, and trying to lighten the mood in my life, at least some. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. And we're going to do a little makeup. So we'll just kind of wing it. And maybe the channel will end up having a more positive outlook and flow as it progresses. We'll see how it goes. So, but yeah, I decided to start it from a more negative place. Also, I have Harry Potter going on in the background. It's always time for a Harry Potter marathon in my household. So, and it's ibuprofen o'clock. I end up having to take up somewhere between 600 and 800 milligrams of ibuprofen at least once a day, if not twice a day. I take a lot of ibuprofen. I have a lot of health problems, and it's just part of it. And I don't have any specific theme for this channel. It's not going to be anything specific like, makeup guru or lifestyle guru or influencer. I've never been paid for a single thing I've done on YouTube. Not one single thing. Or my blog. All those ads are there because I don't pay to have my internet handle anymore. I used to. I might do that again, but when you don't pay for it, they just WordPress throws its own ads on there. Those aren't my ads, and I don't get paid for them. WordPress gets paid for each click, not me. So that's something to keep in mind. And, oh God, so many brushes. And what's worse is this isn't really a whole lot of brushes. It's just a pain in the ass. If you've been on my other channel, you will have seen my video about kind of like my report card of how 12 years of YouTubing went down. Not great. Big giant F for everybody. So that's just something you have to deal with. Anyways, I'm going to start my pros and cons off with my hometown. And that would be Louisville, Kentucky, Kentuckiana. So I grew up on the southern end of Indiana and right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. That whole area is considered the Louisville metro area. I grew up in Floyd County. And they call that area the sunny side of Louisville. Basically, that's code for the white side. I mean, kind of, yeah. The money side, the richer side, you know, a lot of people, they work in Louisville, but they commute back over to Indiana to live. Don't get me wrong, there's rich, super ritzy, rich areas of Louisville. And some of the older parts of, like, the actual downtown and city area of Louisville, they are being built up, but it's very gentrified. So, yeah. I mean, it just is, you know, and I see that in every city I've been to in the last 7, 8 years, 10 years. I see that is a very common thread throughout American cities, is like they're going into the older, worn down parts of cities and rebuilding them, but they're not rebuilding them to their former glory. They're gentrifying them, you know. So what was once like a huge manufacturing plant, you know, and back in the day, they made these huge manufacturing with these giant windows and all this. They go in and turn them into lofts, or that's basically what gentrification means. And it's usually white people. And or you'll see like an old firehouse that, you know, has been decommissioned or something, and somebody will go in, buy the property, restore the firehouse, but they don't restore it to its former glory, not necessarily having to be a firehouse, but, you know, it'll look like a firehouse on the outside, but it'll be like a coffee shop on the inside, and it'll have like none of the old like antiques or anything, unless it was so unique and spectacular that they use it as like a centerpiece for the place. You know what I mean? They keep just enough of it to pull on your nostalgia strings, but they don't keep the real essence of any of it. So yeah, I mean that's what a lot of places, and sometimes they just straight out gut out the whole thing and remodel. And they just gut it out and keep the shell of the building and just entirely remodel a fucking place and don't keep any of its former glory. That's very common. And I get it, you know, and it is aesthetically pleasing to the eye to a degree. But, you know, in some buildings, you know, they might have had like some historical importance, but not enough to really like matter on a big scale, you know. But there have been like some major historical places like that should have just remodeled to and restored to its former glory, and left it alone. Yeah. So I mean that's basically a long definition of what gentrification is. I threw some explanation in there. So, yeah, I mean, Louisville's become gentrified in areas. Some areas are completely forgotten about and have been for many decades, especially the west end of Louisville. And just to kind of give you a general idea of the city. So Louisville rests on the Ohio River. It is in the Ohio River Valley. And the climate there is very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer. So in the winter, it could easily be 0 or even -5 or -10 degrees. That's common in the wintertime there. It's not every day. There's plenty of winter days that get up into like the 30s, which is probably more average, 20s, 30s in the dead of winter. But, there are those cold storms and fronts that come through that are extremely bitter cold. And snow and all that shit. Plenty of snow in Louisville in the wintertime. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. A lot of people out west are being priced out. Out west is going through a lot. And I've lived out west, and I will definitely talk about those places I've been to. And, taxes are outrageous. Cost of living's outrageous. A lot of natural disasters, especially wildfires. The homeless population has exploded all over America, but specifically out west is in particular very bad. You ain't seen a homeless person till you've seen one in LA. Or a different breed. So, yeah. I'm always polite to them. I usually just leave them alone because I figure they want to be left alone. But I'm always polite to them. They're so common in places like LA and in other major cities out there that they're just so common. People just ignore them entirely, pretty much. Especially out in California and other major cities out west, there's major tent cities. It's pretty bad. So, yeah, I mean, that's just definitely something to be aware of. Like when I'm out in LA, I'm not like making crazy money. I've worked out in LA and everything, so I'm not making crazy money, but I usually stay in hostels because that's what I can afford out in LA because LA's outrageously priced. I usually stay in Koreatown because it's close to all the train stations. It's close to downtown. You can get to a train and go to any other part of LA relatively easily. Over the years, their transportation system has become a lot better. They're still expanding it, which great. They needed to. You don't see the train system as much out in like the closer you get to the money, like Beverly Hills and kind of like if you're looking at LA on the map. Like if you get into like WeHo and all that area, Hollywood and Beverly Hills and all that, there's plenty of buses through there, but there's not a lot of trains. So there's just no train system out there really. There's train systems that go through Hollywood, but but Hollywood is not Beverly Hills and WeHo and all that. The Hollywood, where you think of like the Walk of Fame and the classic Hollywood sign and all that, and Hollywood Boulevard and all that area. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of nice places around and everything, but it is a tourist trap. It's great for a day, because, I mean, the first time you go to LA, you're like, oh my God, the Walk of Fame, you always see it on TV. And, but when you go out to LA, seeing it, I mean, it is a huge American thing. So, and being an American, of course I wanted to see it. And seeing the Hollywood sign and all that. I mean, it's all really cool, but that's like day stuff, that's not something you're going to be doing on the regular. So, yeah, and trust me, like all the celebrities and stars you see out there, I've seen a lot of them. I've been very close to many celebrities. I mean, I don't go up to them. I don't say hi. I don't bother them. I mean, when you're literally in their playground, when you're in Hollywood and WeHo and all Beverly Hills and all that, that's literally where they run around and play. So, I don't go up to them. I don't talk to them. If I see one, I might glance and be like, oh, who is that? But I'm like, you'll see like crowds of people like, oh my God, and you're just like, wow. I have a lot of health problems. I was in the ER one night. There was a celebrity in the ER and I'm getting into LA rather than Louisville, but this is just for reference. There was a celebrity in the ER one night, and they made an announcement that he was there, and then they put a blanket over him, and he was like 10 feet from me. And and I was in LA ERs, you're waiting for a minute. So I was just hunched over sleeping on my backpack. And waiting to see the doctor, and they made this announcement. I woke up like, what's going on? I was like, and then I looked over and saw him. I was like, oh my God. And they were putting a blanket over him so he could have privacy, all this stuff. I was just like, oh wow. I was just like, this is so weird. And it's a big celebrity. It's a big one. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so weird. I didn't say anything to him, it just makes me wonder, because even in LA, I'm thicker now. Mama got thick, but and I'm fine with that. I don't care. But would I like to lose 20 pounds? Sure. But I mean, I'm not tripping or anything. But at that time, I was a little thinner than what I am now, and I am a very attractive female. Am I like a gazelle in Beverly Hills? No. But I am a very good-looking woman, even in LA, even by LA standards. And it just makes me wonder if he clocked me, because it wasn't that long ago. So, yeah. So I was just like, oh my God, this is so weird. Because in certain circles out there, I'm not going to say which ones, I'm very well known on an underground level. Most people don't know I'm out in LA until I've already left. Because I'm sneaky. But, and I'm not going out there. I'm going out there for work or potential job opportunities or things like that. I'm not going out there for, anything of that nature. It's just part of the culture there. I digress. A lot of people in that area, though, the whole West Coast, out west, they're being priced out. They're being natural disastered out. I've seen a lot of documentaries on it as well. I've seen it in firsthand. A lot of people moved out to California like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and had the California dream, and they had the nice house and all the rest of it. And they got busted out by crisis after crisis the last 25 years. And who was once like living in a major, amazing home is now homeless. It's a very particular homeless situation out there. Not everybody is like that, but a lot of people are. And a lot of people are just having a death grip. Some of the homeless people out there have a death grip on, they don't want to leave California. They just can't let go of the dream that they lost. And I've seen in documentaries about it, people living in their vans or living in, tent city and all this. And they're just like, I'm not leaving California. And it's just like, at what point, at what cost though? You know what I mean? So, anyways, when I'm out there, I stay in a hostel for like $20 a night. So, yeah. I mean, they're nice, they are nice. And I get a certain type of hostel where you can stay in an all-female room, so it'll be just like you and like a couple other females. And they're always really clean and really nice and well kept and all that. And if you have a decent job out in LA, you don't mind putting in a year or two living like that. Do your thing. But a lot of people go out to LA for the ultimate American dream, to become an actor, an actress, and all that. No. LA has more culture to it than that. It just gets, there's almost like a stigma to LA. There are heavy underground scenes there. Huge, obvious Latin culture. And huge Latin American scene out there. And obviously, Compton and all that. I've been out to Compton. I've been... I've never lived there, but I went there just to be like, why go to LA if you're not going to go to Compton, kind of. But yeah, I mean, it's a very, very, it is a beautiful city. I love the beaches out there. I love Santa Monica. It's gorgeous. I digress. But they are in a crisis. And some people are smarter and they move out. They move out of LA. They move out of overpriced California. California in particular is very bad. And they're moving out east to places like Tennessee and Kentucky, where there's, especially like Tennessee, because there's no state income tax in Tennessee. In certain other states, Texas doesn't have state income tax. Other places don't have state income tax. And, that is very favorable when you're filing taxes. And makes taxes a whole lot easier, too. Yeah, I mean, those places are a lot more desirable, better cost of living. And there are a lot of California transplants out in Kentucky these days. They're not really, the thing is, somebody that's from California, born and raised in California, and they're transplanting to some place like Kentucky, it would be a culture shock, I would imagine. Not to mention, I don't know how many Californians truly understand the culture of, say, Louisville, Kentucky. So we'll start there. I have to make a phone call real quick, and I will do part 2. I wanted to make this one part, but shithead is calling me. He must be getting off work.